Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team here with another episode of the Real Advice podcast. Excited to welcome this week's guest. If you already know him, you probably know he's pretty low energy, isn't an excited person, generally pretty negative demeanor. I'm just kidding. He's literally the opposite of all of those things. Someone told me that he had the best videos in real estate or the funniest videos in real estate, but then this guy, Derek, in Florida told me his videos, this guy's videos were actually trash. We'll dig into that and see who has the best videos and funniest videos in real estate. Please welcome my guest, Krystopher Benyamein. What's going on, man? How are you?
Katie, thank you. I'm doing great. That was a beautiful intro. I don't know if I can live up to all that.
I really wanted to dig into the video thing, and we'll get into that today. But I was mentioning to some people, like, I had like this really funny video guy, and Derek was just like, no, that's trash. So you might need to take that up with him. I just want to give you the heads up. I thought you guys were boys, but I don't know.
I think like that's what I've learned with your boys is the closer you are, the more they trash you.
I thought you guys had this like collaboration thing going on, but maybe you don't. I don't know.
I thought so too. That's okay. I'll take the second. When it's a guy like Derek, yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, Derek Gregory is like mega. It's hard for me to joke, to put me in the same sentence as him because he's on another level.
Some of your videos though that have recently come out, I feel like have stepped it up a little bit. You recently posted one, which now, like, when this actually airs, it'll be a few weeks ago, right? But you recently released one where like you're talking to yourself throughout the video. It was the one like with the how to prospect, and like you're coming up to yourself, and I was like, oh
Yeah,
man, this is some creative editing and shooting to come
that
up
was
with the scripting,
yesterday.
and yeah. So
Thanks. We're always trying new things. So the concept behind me playing myself, you've probably seen those viral TikToks, is those people that are like constantly talking to themselves or giving themselves advice and then saying, where did you learn this? It's like, I follow so and so. It's not easy, but you kind of just, at least for me, I just been trying different things. It's kind of hard to figure out what works or what the internet wants to see or what people think is funny if you just don't try. And it's really hard to want to keep trying, especially when you think you figured something out, because it sucks when things don't do very well.
yeah.
But I don't really know what the alternative is. I like testing it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. And honestly, the internet's moving so fast. Everybody forgot, like, that was yesterday's video. Nobody's gonna remember it when this comes out in
Yeah,
a
they're
couple
gonna be
of
like,
weeks.
who's that video? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
All right, well, we'll get into video more. Let's rewind a little bit. And for those that may not know you, who are you? How'd you get into real estate? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, great question. My name is Krystopher Benyamein. I am a realtor in Southern California. I'm serving a pretty broad market just because it's just the way SoCal sort of is. So we're serving LA, Orange County, and San Diego. I've been in the business full time since 2018. I've been around the business my whole life. I work with my family now, who's been in it for 35 years. My mom has been like one of the bigger top producers in LA for my whole life. And before I jumped into this business, I was practicing law. I'm an attorney by trade. I was a criminal defense attorney. So my last year in practice was 2018, and I think I did 5 jury trials. Um, and now it's just like sales full time. So I have my team, and I work with my family, and I'm pretty blessed. It's been a wild 4 years. It's hard to believe it's only been 4 years. It's
Well,
like,
and so what made you make that change, right? Because obviously you've been around the business for your entire life, right? You did the law path, and I mean, for the time and energy and everything that it takes to go to law school, and then pass the bar, find a
for real.
job, do all the things, like that's a lot to put in to then be like, oh, let me make this adjustment or this pivot here. What, I guess, was the catalyst for you to be like, okay, no, like real estate's for me?
Right. A couple things. So I remember finishing college, and after college, I was deciding whether to go to law school or not. And my dad said to me, my dad's the broker of the office, and he, runs the escrow company. And he says, if you come join us in real estate, I promise you make more money than if you become a lawyer. And I was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And my mom completely goes off. I was like, there's no chance you're going to become a realtor. Like, you have to go to law school. This is what you're going to do. So whatever. I decided to go to law school, not because I think it was like my ultimate. I think it's like an immigrant mentality. I don't feel like I had much of a choice. My sister's a dentist. I got 16 first cousins. 13 of them are doctors. It's just one of these things that it's like education is big, I think, with immigrant families. And I went to law school. I passed. I was working, and then I met my wife in 2018. My girlfriend at the time, but I meet her, and she's starting her residency in San Diego. So at the same time that she's starting her residency, my sister is going through a divorce. We had like just found out some stuff, and she was splitting up from her husband. And my dad is getting older, and I just think about them being in the business, and all of these things are happening at once. And I just said, it's probably time to shift gears. So I rented my house in Lake Tahoe. I quit my job. I had been sitting on my license because I had just had it for a bunch of
Yeah.
years. Um, and that was it. I jumped in full on 2018, October, 4 years this month, October 1st, 2018. So
Nice.
we're 4 years and a month into it, and no regrets.
If you were a brand new agent again or giving advice to a brand new agent, what would you say should be the things that they should do to set themselves up for, a good career?
That's a great question. I think for every brand new agent or even a senior agent, the way I break up the day or three things I think about that I want to accomplish every single day is number one, prospecting. So this is the biggest one. You got to carve out time of your day to be hunting, right? To be talking to people, whether that's DMs, video DMs, but I'm talking about like actively communicating the way that we are. So I think the day is broken into prospecting. Second piece is marketing. So that's either you working on videos, working on mailing campaigns, working on a commercial, something that's going to put your business out there. And then the third piece is education. Every single day, I think you need to be looking up the MLS, what's happening in your local data, reading Keeping Current Matters, reading The Real Deal, The Close, whatever it is, MSN, whatever you want to read. But make sure to keep a pulse on what's happening with your market in the MLS and then outside stuff, outside news resources, so you can have more intelligent conversations with people.
I love that answer, and I think that a lot of times people that do a lot of content, like I know you do, right? People kind of stop doing the prospecting side of things, right? And that's something that I think is huge, and it does change over time, right? Like I don't make nearly as many cold calls as I made, 4 years ago, right? But
Right?
because you have past clients and you have more sphere and you have all of these things, but that's still such a large pillar of, generating business for yourself. So I think a lot of
100%.
times agents, especially when they get in, they see someone who's been doing it for many years. They're like, oh, I'm going to hop right in and do it like that. So,
Right. But you take yourself or other big players, Tim Smith, he was at the last summit talking, and the guy is still on the phone all the time, and they might
yeah.
not be cold leads, but he's talking to people. So whoever it is that you want to talk to, you need to be having these conversations. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because the social media thing is totally misleading people to think that that's all that we're doing, because it's not. And yeah, I think if people are having success on social media, they would be having twice as much success if they would pick up the phone in addition to being on social media.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I would agree tenfold on that. Um, how is it working with family?
Whew, that's a great question. Working with family is a blessing, but it definitely has its own challenges. Like, you work with your partner as well, right?
Yeah.
So I don't work with my partner, but I work with my mom and my dad. And one of my buyer's agents, who used to be our TC, is also my cousin.
Okay.
So it's very much a family business.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome because my family has really, let me say it like this. My parents have provided so much for me growing up, but being so invested in real estate, they were sort of absent for a lot of years. And I don't say that in judgment. I say that because I learned a lot from them by watching them work.
Yeah.
But I felt like I had a lot to catch up with them as far as our relationship goes. So I think in a sick way, I like working with them because I'm catching up on so many years that I've like been away from them. I think it's unfortunate that we talk about business so much, but at the end of the day, it's like such a blessing to get to spend time with my mom and dad, even if it is work related, because I have a strong relationship with them as a result. And not every day is perfect, but big picture, I'm so happy that, like, I get to spend this much time with them because they won't be around forever, as crazy as life is, and I don't know, like, the hurricanes in Florida really makes you think so much about this, or just anytime you see stuff on the news is we get so caught up in the weeds with the business, like,
Yeah.
overwhelmingly caught up that you just don't think about anything else. Like, I have those days where I feel anxious when I'm spending 5 minutes, like, talking to somebody that isn't about the business, and, it's just not the way that we should be operating. These relationships, our family, it's so like, what's the point if
Yeah.
it wasn't for that stuff?
You made a comment earlier about, immigrant family and having a large family. So you said 16 or 18 first cousins?
16 on my
16?
mom's side only.
How many aunts and uncles do you have?
My mom is one of 8 siblings, so
Okay.
I have 7 on that side, and my dad is one of 5, so I have 5 on that side.
That's crazy.
I have a
Man,
very
holidays must just be out of control.
Oh my gosh, and now that the next generation is having
Yeah.
kids, like, my sister has 2 children, so I got 2 nieces, my cousins are having kids. It's not uncommon for our Christmases and Thanksgiving to be 40, 50 people. They're pretty big.
Yeah, and that's just like a small casual, like, oh, so and so and the fam couldn't make it, but we still have, 50 people there.
That's
Um,
exactly right. It's like you just invite the family and you're gonna have at least 20 something people show up.
that's funny.
Immediate family.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Um, yeah, it just like that stuck out in my head. I was like, I've gotta dig in deeper on this one.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's something that I took for granted as I'm a kid, and as I get older, people have a harder time coming together because 'cause they're getting married, so
Yeah,
even though it's getting bigger, some years are smaller because people are starting their own families, and, you know, it's just so special. You just don't realize how finite things are. You don't realize, like, how valuable these holidays because things change, and people don't make it to the next one, and yeah, family's big. I think that's, like, another immigrant thing is, like, the family is like such a big factor in it all.
yeah, tighten it. All right, so we talked about it a little bit, obviously, in the start. Some in jest. Derek actually never talked trash about your videos, just so I don't want you to go like, get mad at him or anything like that. Like I would hate to put you know, put a damper on the friendship or a wedge between the two of you. He didn't say anything. This is just me stirring the pot.
The guy
Uh
is gonna be so flattered, Katie, that you've taken 5 minutes of this podcast to just talk about him. Like, I'm gonna call him when we get out of this. He's getting married this weekend, and, I just can't wait to call him after this, be like, "Dude, I can't get away from you."
I try so hard. So yeah, all joking aside, I do truly love what you're doing as far as content and video, and I like that like your stuff's always so creative, right? I love your mom getting into video, and her doing like some parody type stuff. That's fun because I feel like a lot of people would just be like, ah, no, I've had a good career, or I'm doing fine where I'm at. So I like the innovation that you guys have. Where do y'all come up with content ideas?
Ooh, it's a great question. We come up with content ideas from everywhere, and I think because they are everywhere, people are like, how would I say it? It's like because there's so many ideas, people don't know how to compartmentalize them. So, pretty basic. I have a notepad on my iPhone. I'm an iPhone guy, and
Yeah,
I use the notes, and I have a tab that says ideas, and I'm constantly writing them down. So before a film day, like I'm filming this Friday, I will have like a list of ideas that I've been collecting that I'll circle back to, that I want to sort of flesh out a little bit better. As I'm scrolling through Instagram, I really try to be mindful that I'm not just consuming, but rather I'm kind of like digesting it,
yeah,
and I'll save anything that I really like. So and I don't think people have to look that far. Anybody in the TF ecosystem is looking to people like you that's putting out content, the Derek's, anything Jason Pantana says, all of that is low hanging fruit for you just to take and make your own. I mean, and I say this, I really do mean this. I think for anybody that's looking for ideas and it's like, well, where do I start? Start with my page or start with Nahid's page and literally rip the video and make it yourself. And I kind of believe that people have a hard time figuring out what works because they just don't even get started to
yeah.
figure out what their voice is. When I started making these videos, it was all information based, nothing comedy. And then once I kind of got comfortable doing that, well, let's see what else we want to try.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the evolution. It's like, how do you find your voice if you're not willing to sing?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of agents. It's like, I don't want to sing. That's why I don't ever want to trash people that are doing parody videos, because I might not be doing like dancing TikToks where I'm like pointing at stuff or lip
Yeah.
syncing, which is cool. I really respect it. But the reason why I appreciate that kind of content so much is I believe that those people that are making those videos start off doing that. And then as soon as they're comfortable, they'll start speaking in front of the camera. And then as soon as they're really comfortable, they'll start giving their opinion, because there's like levels to this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's one thing to tell you what an article says. It's another thing to say, this is what the article says, and this is my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was kind of a long way to answer you, but yahoo.com, msn.com, fox.com. A hack that I just made a video about actually is Google Alerts. Do you know about
Oh,
this?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so easy low-hanging fruit. Google Alerts is a great one to get notified. And that's kind of it. And I'm just like scouring and I'm writing it down, and then I'll circle back to it later.
Do you ever find inspiration, like, outside of the real estate realm? Right? Because I feel like sometimes, when we kind of get into this, like, bubble of the real estate world, right? Like, all of the content starts to look the same. People are trying to do what you do. People are trying to copy other people, and then it's like, you look around, you're like, "Man, everyone is doing this XYZ style video."
Absolutely.
Do you find inspiration, like, outside of the industry as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of the industry, I grew up like skateboarding. I grew up playing the drums. I grew up super into music and like punk rock. And the guys that are making my videos make music videos. And I think I take to a lot of that like pop culture
Yeah.
influencing the stuff that I'm making so it looks different than my counterparts. So I think that's huge. If you're not following just random, like these ones aren't real estate. There's so many platforms or pages that are like tangentially real estate related that I think we could be getting great ideas from. Like do you follow homeowner memes?
God, no, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. There's a great one called like homeowner memes,
Okay.
and what's another one? Something about jokes like dads, something about like classic dad memes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think there are so many other parallels to the business that you can just be like taking from, and I
Yeah.
think that's huge. I think it's hard to get sucked into exclusively real estate content. Um, for exactly the reason that you mentioned, you don't want to do everything the same, but at the same time, like my audience is so different than your audience. That's why I don't really care if people copy my stuff. Like there's so many feelings about people copying, and like give credit where it's due, I guess. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's like whatever.
I always find that, like, when I'm scrolling on social and consuming content, like, if I see something that I like, I normally will write down the video idea, right? So, like, I'll see you doing, like, a market update where you're in the grocery store, like, riding in a cart, and, like, that's not me, like, that's never gonna be me, but you'll say something in that video that I'm like, "Oh, I like what he said about this," right? And I'm like, "Let me write down that idea." And then, like, when I go to shoot that video, it's gonna be way different, right? Because 1, I'm not, like, riding in a shopping cart. 2, it's, we have way different personalities, but, like, that idea can at least spur my script of like, "Hey, this is da 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 as to what's happening," right? And so that's where, for me, I always just, like, I have a list of, like, when my videographer sees it, he has no idea. He, like, reads off and he's like,
What
shopping
is
cart market update, blah, 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 blah. And then like the actual point. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. All right, let's do
right?
this. And he's like, what
Right.
is your creative process here?
I think that's brilliant, and you're looking at it through a different lens. I think you can flip it the other way, and that's like another thing that I get inspo from is you find me in these like wild settings that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I'm trying to get people to stop scrolling, and you kind of have to take your ego out of it because you don't look that cool sometimes popping out of a trash can. But the same way that you take note of like the content that I'm delivering, I will take note of like somebody, like I just made a video where I was throwing, it was like pretending that I was jumping out of a window,
Okay.
and I saw a video of somebody like jumping out of a window, and it was like this fake doll that they threw out the window, and I was like, how creative was that?
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I was like, I want to make a video delivering information, and I'm going to jump out the window.
Yeah.
And that was really all it was. Is I put a pillow inside a pair of pants, I tucked in the jacket into that, and I tossed it out the window.
Yeah.
And that's the same way you are approaching it. It's like, how do you find inspiration, and then how can I take bits and pieces and make it my own?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So switching gears a little bit, you have had a pretty crazy year thus far.
It's
Um,
my craziest in my life.
I so you climbed Everest, like, probably an accomplishment. I mean, how many people in the world have climbed Everest? I'm not even gonna try to like, do you know?
I think under 6,000.
Yeah, that's unreal.
It's because not that many people want to try.
I mean, I sure as hell don't want to. I mean, like, I was talking to someone about it. And they're like, "How cool would it be to like, do this?" And I'm like, "I don't even like walking up 2 flights of stairs, let alone like, I can't stand hiking. There's
Right,
no way I'm gonna do that. Like the mental fortitude, the training for it. Like I'll go like, I mean, we both do like CrossFit style workouts and
right,
like go lift weights and still like I'll go do that all day long.
right.
But like Everest, man, like unreal. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Like quite an accomplishment. So like
Thank you.
um it was crazy though, because like I knew you were gonna do it. I guess I just didn't really realize how long it was gonna take. Because how long were you gone?
2 months.
Yeah.
I was gone March 29th or March 28th, which is crazy because that's the day that my baby is now due next year, like the day that I left. And then I came back the end of May, so about
Yeah.
2 full months, and, Katie, it's like one of those things that nobody should do unless they really want to do it. It's kinda like real estate, like, if you're in real estate to make money, but you hate being on the phones, you hate making videos, you hate houses, making money is probably not a big enough motivation to,
Yeah.
like, do it at a high level, and that was kind of the Everest thing is there was a lot of people out there that, like, really want to climb Everest, to be on the summit, but they really don't enjoy climbing. They
Yeah.
don't like being cold, they don't like the suffer, they don't like physically, like, the techno yeah, they don't like all the pieces of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't wanna you don't have to like it to do it,
Yeah.
but I look back at the 2 months that I was gone, and it was so much fun, and I have such positive memories because I was so prepared and I really enjoyed the process. And I don't think that everybody out there who summited looks back as fondly as me
Yeah. Oh,
because
I'm sure.
yeah, just don't enjoy, sort of the struggle. And now it's like I'm back. It's kind of like a nasty breakup. It's like if somebody cheats on you, you hate them, but then all you want is them back, even though they're so bad for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that sick relationship. And that's like the mountains now is like I come back, lose all my toenails, super abused, and now I'm just like, wait, but I miss you. How do I go
Yeah.
back?
Yeah. Um
It's
thank you for that visual.
yeah.
So I guess a couple questions. I have so many follow-up questions, but I'm not gonna dig into all of them. So what how long was your training? Like when did you decide like, okay, I'm gonna do Everest
Right.
and now I've got to start training? Like how long did that process kind of take?
So full blown, full time training took about 24 months. I
Okay.
would say I was training 3 times a day, 2 times a day for probably like 11 months. And then I was training super intense for about 24 months. And the reason why I have those like timelines is the year before I climbed Everest, I was cutting my teeth to figure out, am I ready to go up this high? So I took a trip to South America where I was gone about a month climbing in
Okay.
the Andes. And that was in July of 2021. So July
Okay.
2021, I go for a month. I, s- I actually don't end up succeeding. I climbed a bunch of peaks, but I failed the one mountain that I went to go climb called
Yeah.
Illimani. Not because it was my fault, but we got lost in bad weather. But I went out there and I got lost at like 21,000 feet. But I get there, I have that experience. I realize that like I really think I have what it takes to climb. And I come back in August, and then I kind of didn't talk about climbing with my family for about a month because they don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And then October, I said, guys, we got to figure this out. Like Everest is coming next spring. Do I have your blessing? And they knew it was coming sooner or later. Everybody knew it was coming sooner or later, and that was it. So I came back. I took a couple weeks off, and from like September, October 2021 till when I left in March was super gnarly training.
Yeah.
2, 3 times a day. But then I've been rock climbing since I was 21. Like this has been a goal of mine that I've been staying fit for about 10 years. So those are like the two pieces of it. Like I've been climbing, gaining the skills over 10 years, but I was super dialed in training for probably 18 to 24 months.
So how did you balance that, right? Like before you went, right? And you were training multiple times per day. Obviously, you still,
Was working,
like
selling
were
houses.
working, selling houses, creating content. I think you conceived a child in that time. Like all of these things happen, right? Like,
Right.
that's a lot. Like, how did you balance all of that?
What I'm coming to learn about balance is one, it's overrated. I'm just kidding. No, what I'm coming to learn is that when you have more things on your plate, it forces you to find a way to balance it. And what I am finding is on days that I don't have things lined up in my calendar to accomplish, I end up squandering the time.
Yeah.
I'm almost trying to find like I haven't signed up, I haven't committed yet, but the wheels are turning for me to try to climb El Capitan next October. And it's a huge big wall in Yosemite. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? But the reason why I want to lean back into another big climb is it forces me to put everything else in a box. Like
Yeah.
it forces me to say, if I have to train this time and this time, then I'm time blocking with my team. I'm time blocking prospecting. And idle time is the worst time. And I really think that some people that feel like they're not getting things done, maybe they don't have enough in their plate to force them like how to prioritize stuff.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day that like they recently became a coach, with Tom Ferry, and their biggest thing was like, before like obviously like, they're selling like 50 homes a year and like all this other stuff. So they're like, no, I was busy and this and that, whatever. But now with 20 clients or how many ever clients they have, they're like, that's 10 hours a week, right? That I've got to figure out now where that goes to then be more efficient. So they were like, I've never been more efficient in my life, with these additional things being added on. So I can totally see that,
Right.
for sure.
I think the other thing about it that was so good that I'm also trying to figure out, and this is very candid, is Everest gave me so much purpose. I dreamed about it for 10 years. Literally, it just
Yeah.
consumed me for most of my adult life. And I think that kind of obsession is bad to an extent, but it's also good because it gives you this like purpose and drive. And truthfully, now that it's finished, I've been looking to figure out how to kind of fill these voids and give me the sort of energy that I feel like I lost when I finished that goal. Because it doesn't necessarily have to be like I don't think the business has to be what fills your cup, but you
Yeah.
need something in your life that really fills up your cup so that you can pour into all these other things. And I think that's kind of like what Mount Everest did for me that I'm looking for again.
And so you're saying potentially next fall is the next big thing.
Yeah, so potentially I wouldn't, everyone's like, "Are you gonna free solo it?" No, nothing crazy like that. I just wanna rock climb it. So it would take
Yeah.
probably 7 or 8 days sleeping on the wall. I wanna say it's like 3 or 4,000 vertical feet of rock climbing, and, but it's like a totally different sort of training than I did for Everest, and I like the challenge. I really like rock climbing, and then there's no way my wife is gonna let me leave for 2 months. So, like, 7 days, I think I can do.
Yeah. I just love that you're like so casual about the fact that you'd be sleeping like on like you're like, oh, just on the wall. Like no big deal. It's just like this vertical, thing.
Right.
I'm like, find me a bed
Yeah,
and my pillow and all the things.
it's like you adapt and you adjust. It's
Yeah.
kind of, that's one of the reasons why the Tom Ferry ecosystem is so special is when somebody says they sold $1 billion in real estate or 1,000
Yeah.
houses, you're just like, what? Like, how is that even possible? And then you start meeting these people, and then you start talking to them, and then you learn a little bit about them. And then in every conversation, this guy sold 50, this guy sold 100, this team sold 500. you develop a new normal. And I think that is huge because these obstacles we set for ourselves are like self-imposed, you know? And I don't mean this arrogantly, but like when I think about other things, I'm like, well, how much like there's another mountain that's 22,000 feet. I'm like, well, it's only 22,000. I did 29,000. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's still huge, but it's all perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what I like being around you guys so much is it really changes my perspective on what's possible. Like you remember DJ, you know DJ and Lindsay from
Yeah.
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
I remember meeting DJ for the first time and being like, this is my homeboy. Like this is my dog. This guy's selling $1 billion worth of real estate. And I don't mean that like disparagingly. I just mean it inspiring. I was like, this guy
Yeah.
is doing it. Why can't I do it?
Well, and I think one of the things too is like when you meet people that are like your people and that are so like chill about it and they're so approachable and they're like, you kind of going over like an idea or you guys are like brainstorming on something and then like you're like, "Oh, well, so, like," somehow that then comes up that they're like, "Oh, yeah, we sold how many ever 1,000 homes, whatever." You're like, "Oh, shit." Like, "Okay, this guy is super legit." Like, I just thought he had
Right.
really good ideas, but, like, clearly, he's
Right.
executing at such a high level, and that's what I really like, um, when you find your people and, like, that and they're super approachable and, willing to kind of spitball like that, so
100%, and I think every day I mean, it's just so big to be around people that have bigger ideas and a bigger picture than you, that are doing so much, and I
yeah,
don't think you should look at them with jealousy or envy. You look at them and say like, "Well, how can I be doing a piece of that?" You know?
yeah.
And, it just elevates you. Like, there's so much that I'm doing now that is a result of watching you guys do it 12 months ago.
Dude, I
And
feel the same way about you, man, so
thanks, Katie.
the feeling's mutual, feeling's mutual.
Thank you.
Um, alright, if you had to give, like, a book to read, do you have, like, a book or 2 that are, like you're like, "Man, this is a good one. I recommend every real estate agent read this."
Uh, yes. So this one is not real estate, but it partly it's just life, and life is real estate. The subtle art of not giving a fuck. You know
Okay.
that
Yeah.
the subtle. So it's by. Oh, you've read it. You probably have it back there.
I don't have it on this shelf, but it's somewhere in my home.
Yeah, so I recently read that, or I actually read that when I was climbing, and I think it resonated with me because I was climbing as
Yeah.
far as how we perceive ourselves and how I just think it's so big for people to acknowledge that we're not even like climbing Mount Everest or even selling $1 billion worth of real estate. Like, we need to recognize that we're not as special as we think we are. And I think that book really highlighted how sort of not special we are. And that sounds, I don't want that to sound negative, but I kind of like that because all of us think we're hotter shit than we really are. So the subtle art of not giving an F, I think, is a great book that I recently read. Um, what is another one? Do you know who Brian Tracy is?
I don't think so.
He's like a really old school salesperson, and
Okay.
he had written a book called The Power of Selling by Brian Tracy, and it's like
Okay.
very you couldn't apply it word for word because it's like from the 80s, but
Yeah.
a lot of the disciplines are the same today.
Yeah.
So anything Brian Tracy is probably
Brian
pretty
Tracy.
good for
Okay.
anybody that's on the phones, and anything Phil Jones. I just ordered the Phil Jones book for my whole team that we'll be like diving into together after I read it, and like anything Phil Jones.
Yeah. His words are just so much better than my words.
100%.
It's
That's
it's
I was leaning into the audiobook because I like listening to books because I'm
yeah.
driving so much, but the reason why I wanna do the physical one is so that the team can have it in front of them while they're on the phone.
I've
Yep.
got both of them back here, the real estate and the regular one. One thing that we did was, we do, like, role play on Zoom, and so,
Yep.
like, I would just open up the thing and be like, "Okay, this is a bad one to use, but, like, I bet you're a bit like me." And I'd be like, "All right, Chris, I bet you're a bit like me." And then you would have to come up with, like, "I bet you're a bit like me and da 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 whatever," right? And then I'd be like, "Okay, Bobby, I bet you're a bit like me." And we would just, like, go around in the circle, and everyone would have to give an example of, like,
Right.
each magic word thing. So it was good because, like, we all read it, we all talked about it, and then, like, actually put it into practice. And it's funny now when, like, we're prospecting or whatever's happening, like, I'll hear people say things like that, "I bet you're a bit like me," or, like
Right.
whatever other magic words,
I
they work into the combo.
I love it. And that's seriously part of being around all of you guys, and I'm hearing it so much more. As a team, we're role playing before we start prospecting on Tuesdays and
Yeah.
Thursdays. We're trying to do it in person. Whoever can't make it is on Zoom. But man, just to get to practice these lines is huge. And I remember thinking I was like too cool for it, or like, it's not too cool for it. We don't want to make the time for things that we don't think are making us money, period.
Yeah.
There's just like so many of these things that we just don't want to invest the time into. And I'm like, this is where the time needs to be invested. So whoever is listening, practice.
Biggest piece of advice, go practice.
Exactly.
Awesome. I feel like we've covered a lot in the time that we've been chatting. I'm like, I had some questions written down and like we didn't touch most of them.
Uh,
If you
it was,
weren't a realtor or an attorney, what would you be doing? What would be your career path?
I'd be a
Or is
mountain.
this
I'd be a mountain guide.
okay?
100%. I'd be a mountain guide. I don't know what it is, but it's like the ultimate machismo, in my opinion, like the ultimate hegemonic male, which is a terrible reason to want to do anything. But there's just something that you can never, you can never be like bigger than nature.
Yeah.
But I like nature putting us in perspective. So it's like if you ever seen like a really big wave, you're like, oh my gosh, like what a wave. I love how mountains make you feel that way, like so small. So I would totally be a bum. I would be living in a van and I would be climbing the crap out of things.
I love it. Um
What
I
a-
love how there's also no hesitation. When I was like, "What do you think?" You'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is totally the
oh,
route I'd go."
I mean, if I didn't have like a baby on the way and like all these responsibilities, like I would be like, wife, can I be a climber? Paige, can I do this please?
Yeah. You said she's how much more time does she have on her residency?
Yeah, enough time that I got to keep working.
Yeah. Go sell some more houses.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
a funny story the other day, I actually, ended up seeing Robert Mack for dinner, when
Yeah.
I was out in OC, and we were laughing at you because I guess the weekend before, y'all hung out and y'all did a little hike, and apparently you did the entire hike with your shoes untied.
He told you.
He did. He was like, I guess it wasn't that. He was like, it wasn't that hard or whatever. He's like, but like, it was a hike. And he's like, and I turned around, this man has his shoes untied. I was laughing. I was like, he's done Everest. Like, you think he's gonna tie his shoes for a California hike, man? Like, what are we?
I didn't tie my shoes all the way up to Everest Base Camp. It's like not a flex. It's just like these shoes that I hike in, if I'm not like going up a vertical wall, they don't get tied.
That's funny. Do you tie your shoes when you like go work out or go on a run or something? Or are
Oh yeah.
you
Oh,
okay?
100%. 100%. Robert, that was a lot of fun with Robert Mack. He was so kind to me after. He's like, "You're definitely the most fit person I've ever done a hike with before."
Yeah, I would say that's probably the case.
He's so fun. He's like, yeah. I'm glad that he told you that story.
Yeah. Well, a story I can tell you about him, that night that he came to dinner, he forgot his wallet. So he couldn't pay for parking and he couldn't contribute to the meal. He did, get everyone's Venmo and he's like, I'm gonna Venmo y'all, and it was fine, but it was just funny. I'm
I'm
like,
sure.
we get out here and you don't even have your wallet. You forgot your wallet, with air
Right.
quotes, but
This is like tangential, but if there's any reason why making social media content is important, is because of the relationships it creates. Like these videos are the only reason that you guys know who I am. Like, period. They're the only reason, even though I'm in coaching, that Tom Ferry like took a notice to us again. And I'm not saying it that you do it for like the wrong reasons, but there are so many things beyond just like helping buyers and sellers that putting yourself out there gets you. And I just, like Robert Mack, I have such a relationship with him now, and it's a result of the internet,
yeah.
and I met you in person for the first time after having a relationship with you online for so long. And you just don't think about that when you're going to start making videos. You just have no concept of like all this other stuff that's going to come to you as a result.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's funny because it's like the things that you share. Like I've seen you post that like you and your wife working out at your CrossFit gym or like doing things like that. So it's like I know we have things in common, right? So then when I see that, I'm like, oh hey, like we're gonna be at this event together. Like do you want to go work out? Or like it gives us something common to talk about, right? And like yeah, it's really interesting the relationships that social creates. That I mean, would we have found each other else? Otherwise, probably not, right?
Right. Or it would have taken a lot longer. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's huge. And one reason why I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny too is like, I mean, you and Robert Mack like don't live that far away from each other, right? And like,
Yeah.
have very, very many common interests,
That's
right? So
exactly right. That's exactly right. And, it just what better time to like we are closer to people than ever before. And I really feel in my heart we are one DM away from anything. And
yeah.
when could you have ever done that in the past? If I want, and maybe they don't going to read the comment themselves, but if I wanted to send a message to Travis Barker, I can do that. You couldn't do that 10 years ago. So I think that kind of stuff is powerful.
Maybe like a MySpace message. I don't
Yeah,
even
maybe
know,
you're right. Maybe a
could you
MySpace.
could you message people on MySpace that you weren't already friends with? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Man, I feel old. All right.
How
I'm
old
gonna
are
hit
you?
you.
Is
What's
that
that?
is that is that do I ask you when this is wrapped? I don't even know how old you are.
How old do you think I am? No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you.
Uh,
I'm 35.
I was gonna say you were my age, like 31, 32.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, we're cut from the same fabric.
Yeah, All right, I'm gonna hit you with one last hard-hitting question.
I'm
If it were
ready.
your last meal on Earth, what would you be eating?
For sure, this is gummy bears or gummy worms.
For an entire meal?
Well, I mean, that's tough. If it's like it's a whole meal, I'd want it to be more, but like gummies and ice cream are my kryptonite.
Okay,
Like gummy worms or twin snakes specifically are like I can eat them until my teeth feel like they're gonna fall
till they
out.
hurt, yeah,
If it was gonna be something otherwise, though, probably a ribeye.
okay. We are kind of the same people. So, I've been eating a lot of dessert because I think that like, just in normal life, right? You normally try to eat healthy and
Right,
like, not eat too much dessert because you shouldn't.
right.
And like, since being pregnant, I've basically just been like, well, like I can eat what I want because like I'm growing a human, whether it's nutrient dense or not. And so I've been eating a ton of dessert and candy. And, the other day, I went into, like, the little Dylan's candy bar shop in the
Yeah.
airport, and I filled up one of those bags with, like, all of the gummies.
Oh
It was,
gosh.
like, gummy bears, gummy worms. I even did, like, the little, like, Coke bottle,
Yes,
like,
jelly
cream
cola.
soda. Yeah. And, what else did I got all different colors of Swedish fish because why not? It was quite the, uh quite the medley, and my husband was just like he looked at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "That's like $20 worth of candy." I'm like,
I
"Hey,
was
I
about to
didn't."
say, he was like, "You just blew a commission check."
Yeah. I'm like, "I don't make adult money to not, like, fulfill my childhood dreams here." I'm just what's the point if we can't do stuff like this? So
One time, my dad there's a place on the way back from Las Vegas called Eddie's World, and they sell gummies in bulk, and my dad brought back 5 pounds of gummies in 5 one-pound bags,
oh my god.
and I ate all 5 pounds in 3 nights. 3 nights. My dad
Chris.
comes home and he says, "Where's the gummies?" And I said, "I ate them, Dad." He said, "Your mom took them to church and gave them away. I know it." And I said, "Dad, she didn't give these ones away. Like, I ate them." Like, and he was like, "I told your mom not to give these away." And I was like, "I ate them."
You, like, create this rift between your parents. You're like, "No, I swear I ate them."
Yeah, now they don't talk to each other. So, oh, just kidding.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
back in 1990 whatever, and now they don't speak.
Yeah, I haven't seen my dad since the war.
The gummy war of 19
Exactly.
whatever.
No, so
Uh,
it's dangerous. Sugar is dangerous. Careful.
yeah. So I'm like, hopefully I won't be too addicted by the time I have a child and then need to like, go back to normal eating habits. But
Right. Are you still working out, Katie? How are you feeling moving?
yeah, I mean I have been still working out. It's difficult when your mind wants to do more, but you shouldn't, right? So
Sure.
that's been an interesting struggle, right? Of like everyone else is doing 95 pounds and I'm over there with my like 55-pound weights, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I feel good. So I feel very fortunate.
I'm glad to hear it. Keep doing that. It's good that you have like so much confidence because I think that's where people's egos can mess with them.
Yeah. Oh no, I fully like today it was a partner workout and like there's an odd number of people. I was like, I'll just go on my own and partner up with them and like be the third with my own bar in the corner. It's fine. So fully embrace it. So all
That's
good.
good. That's good. That's good. Well, when we're back together, whether it's in April or you're not going to make it to Elite Retreat, right? Because that's
I will be like having a child then. So
right. So maybe in April we can do a workout together at the next event.
totally down. For sure. 2023, not only will like summiting, some sort of like vertical wall of rock be, on your list, then we can also do a workout. Like number 2 on your list will be our workout together.
Deal. Deal.
All right,
All
man. Well,
right.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for spending some of your day with me. Always fun to chop it up and excited to know that you have a gummy addiction. Looking forward to, sharing some Swedish fish or something next time we see each other.
I can't wait, Katie. Thank you for having me. It really means a lot. You've really been like a role model for like a few years now, so this means a lot.
Dude, I appreciate you. You're the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll see you soon.